Hi, I'm Dr. Cedrick, and I thank you for watching. Today I want to talk to you about health and why we should supplement for better health. We're facing a health crisis today in America. Are you happy with your current health? People often ask me if they should take nutritional supplements. My answer is yes. Actually, we're already supplementing our diet in many ways. For example, there's iodine added to our salt. Folic acid is usually given to pregnant women, and every farmer has their animals on some kind of nutritional regimen. We've doubled and tripled the lifespan of animals this way. Sadly, when it comes to human health, we tend to focus on medication instead of nutrition. According to the CBO, the United States spent about $3.8 trillion on healthcare in 2014. About 4 billion prescriptions were filled last year. So 70% of Americans take at least one medication, while 50% take two or more. This has an estimated 100,000 people expected to die every year from the side effects of these drugs. And every year, about 10 million people struggle with healthcare-related expenses. This accounts for about 40% of all bankruptcies in the country. This means that you're one heart attack or one cancer diagnosis away from financial ruin. Despite all the drugs that we're taking and all the money we're spending, our health continues to get worse. Statistically, chronic illnesses are on the rise. Whether it's heart disease, obesity, or diabetes, or cancer, the trend continues to go up. And it's not just the adults getting sick, it's children too. Chronic illnesses are affecting our kids and grandkids much earlier than ever before. Life for the average person today is a bit like this. In the morning, you take omeprazole for breakfast. You take Prozac for attention. You take albuterol when you go to the gym. You take Xanax to deal with the anxiety. Lisinopril for blood pressure. Tylenol for body pains and aches. Metformin before you eat dinner. Viagra to make love to your wife, and Ambien to be able to sleep. This cycle repeats itself every day, and we only seem to get to take more and more medications. It doesn't have to be like this. There was a time not so long ago when we could do these functions naturally without the use of medications. Sadly, today, it seems like we need a pill for every function of our bodies. Now, according to the CDC, 60% of global diseases in 2020 will be preventable chronic diseases. The key word here is preventable. This means we are going to have a higher disease burden, lower life expectancy, a poorer quality of life, an afflicted population, and greater financial burden. The reality is, no matter how much money or drugs we throw at the problem, it's only going to get worse. This is why I started Dr. Cedrick. Although I'm medically trained as a pharmacist, I also realize the limitations of drug therapy. Now, I recognize that medications do a great job of treating symptoms, but ultimately, they don't address the root cause. They don't prevent you getting sick, whereas nutrition does. And ultimately, wouldn't it be better to not be sick in the first place? Now, throughout the history of medicine, we've actually cured many diseases, but we did it with nutrition, not medication. For example, scurvy at one point in time killed millions of people around the world, but it was cured by feeding people fruits. Actually, it's the vitamin C in these fruits that helped them. Now, when you look at this chart, we see these diseases were once prevalent, but they're now rare or completely eradicated. Cured, in other words. We did it by supplementing what we ate. For example, milk has added calcium and vitamin D. Salt has iodine to help prevent goiters. Prenatal supplements are usually fortified with folic acid in order to prevent birth defects. But why stop there? So our premise is, whenever we're looking at a disease, we should always look for a nutritional underlining that's involved and that plays a role. Doesn't it just make sense to give our bodies the nutrients that it needs? These nutrients I'm talking about are known as the essential nutrients. There's 90 of them. Now, they're essential because your body and my body can't produce them. So we must take them in one way or another. Now, these nutrients play a role in our health and overall well-being, the overall function of our bodies. So these are 60 minerals, which are responsible for the absorption and activation of vitamins. They act as cofactors to enzymatic reactions. They play a role in the expression of DNA and even proteins. Then there's 16 vitamins, which are essential for every function of our bodies. And then there's 2 to 3 essential fatty acids. Now, these are important for the integrity of our cells, our tissues, our muscles, and organs. And then there's amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of the human body. Okay, they make protein. They're a lot like letters. They're a lot like letters in the alphabet. You put these letters together and you make words, and you put these words together and you have sentences, and next thing you know, you have a book. Now, these nutrients are needed in order for us to grow. They protect us, help our immunity fight off bacteria, they help us heal, and they help us recover. We've been trying to win the battle for good health with medication when we should have been fighting with nutrition all along, and ultimately prevention. Some things happen to our food today. In 1936, a U.S. congressional report found that our farm soils in America were becoming increasingly deficient in its mineral content. This means there's less nutrients in the soil. Remember, there's 60 minerals that are essential for human health. Now, these minerals make up the bulk, almost 2/3 of these essentials. Now, minerals make up the majority of the nutrients that we need. Therefore, the food we're eating has less and less nutrition than it did in the past. Here's an illustration of that point. Remember, your body needs the 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 2 or 3 essential fatty acids, as well as the amino acids, or something will go wrong at some point. Now, note here that vitamins, amino acids, essential oils are made or manufactured by plants and fruits. So when we eat them, we receive these nutrients. Yet minerals come from the soil. As a matter of fact, plants can't make their own minerals. They have to absorb what's available in the soil. And so when we eat these vegetables, we in turn receive the nutrients, the minerals that they have. Humans cannot make their own minerals. We have to get it from the food we eat. So if the soil is low in minerals, then our food is low in mineral, and ultimately we as humans today are low or deficient in minerals. I want to show you an example. Here's a map that shows us the amount of selenium in the soils today in America. Now, selenium is a trace mineral. It plays many important roles in the body. For example, it's an antioxidant, which means it helps clean free radicals from our body, and it boosts our immune system. It helps with fertility, helps with thyroid function, brain function, even blood sugar. Now, you see how some areas are very pink and red? Those areas have a high amount of selenium, while other areas have low amounts of selenium, noted by bluish gray. This means that if you live in one of those bluish grayish areas, the chances of you getting enough selenium from the food you eat is very low, unless you're able to import food from the pink areas. That's because minerals appear like veins in the soil, a lot like chocolate in chocolate ripple ice cream. They are not uniform. So why are we so deficient? Well, I want you to imagine a healthy broccoli, packed full of essential nutrients. It's got the 60 minerals, the 16 vitamins, the 2 to 3 essential fatty acids, and all those essential amino acids. Now, if you ate this broccoli, you would get all the nutrients it had to offer. But thanks to Big Agra, the way our food is grown today is very different than in times past. For example, there's the addition of NPK, which stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. 3 minerals out of a possible 60 that play a role in plant growth. The nitrogen keeps the plant green. The phosphorus gives it healthy roots, helps it flower. The potassium helps the formation of chlorophyll and even disease resistance. This means that you still have to get the other 57 minerals from another source. Now, we know that our soil is deficient. Then there's the addition of pesticides. When you see those planes fly over the farm and they're spraying, many times they're spraying chemicals. Now, you have bugs that are going to eat these chemicals and they're going to die. They're going to decay in the soil, and the plants are then going to absorb the nutrients in the soil, including the chemicals. We then eat these plants and take in minute amounts of chemicals. The scariest part about all this is that we're feeding our young kids, our children, with this, and wonder why so many autoimmune disorders are popping up. Then there's the addition of GMOs, which stands for genetically modified organism. The idea is that they add foreign DNA or genes to give these crops certain abilities. For example, to help crop improve weather resistance. Now, this is pioneered by companies such as Monsanto. Now, it's an unnatural process in nature. Now, chances are you're probably already eating genetically modified food. You just don't know it because a lot of it is not labeled. Up to 70% of processed foods today and up to 80% of the corn that we eat is genetically modified. Now, GMOs have been linked to many autoimmune disorders and even sterility. And then there's the addition of heat. Now, we all know heat denatures protein and can often radicalize oils, but it's the overcooking of food that I'm talking about. We just need to be mindful of it. And then there's the addition of preservatives. Have you ever wondered why your store can of beans has a 10-year shelf life, for example, but regular beans don't? They go bad within a few weeks. That's because preservatives have been added. Now, preservatives ultimately add to the body's toxin load, and so we then have to cleanse in order to get rid of these toxins. Ultimately, these and other processes ensure that we're going to age quicker, we're going to be sicker, and ultimately die. We have two options. We can either eat healthy fruits, nuts, seeds, vegetables. We can either eat all these healthy foods, a lot of it, all the time, or we can supplement our current diet with the nutrients we're missing. Now, this is actually easier than radically changing people's foods and cultures. Now, supplementation is the idea of getting all the nutrients found in these fruits and vegetables in one easy form. Now, this can be a tablet, a capsule, a liquid, or a chewable. Ideally, you want to get one tablet that has all these nutrients, a multivitamin and a multimineral. Now, we should be eating these fruits and vegetables anyways, but unfortunately, the lure of fast food and junk food has won so many of us over. Here's why we should take nutritional supplements. The body needs 300 milligrams of vitamin C a day in order to prevent scurvy. Yet over time, if you don't give it that required amount, symptoms of deficiencies will manifest. These symptoms include fatigue, inflamed gums, wound healing, thick flaky skin, depression, and yes, even bone diseases. Now, I have a question. Did you eat 5 oranges today? What about yesterday? So we see here that we are perpetually deficient, and over time, the deficiency will manifest itself in a disease. Now, osteoporosis is a lot more than a calcium deficiency. It's actually scurvy of the bones. And we see that the symptoms manifest into diseases later on in life, which tells us that supplementation should begin early in life, because many of these diseases actually start early in life. We just see the symptoms as we get older. It's also important where we get our supplements. According to the CDC, 53% of US adults use some sort of complementary and alternative medicine. Now, many companies have then decided to jump in the vitamin bandwagon. But here's the problem. Let's say you had an orange. You squeezed off the juice in a pot, boiled off the water, you're left with a powder, you encapsulate the powder and put it in a tube and call it 100% pure vitamin C capsules. The problem with this process is that the heat denatured the protein and in many ways made it ineffective, and the body simply clears it out. Not only that, many companies will then add binders and fillers, artificial dyes and chemicals, wax coating, synthetic ingredients to their products. That's not what we offer at Dr. Cedrick. This is why you should get your supplements from drcedrick.com. Unlike other places, our products are naturopathic certified. We use standardized manufacturing to ensure that the products assimilate well in your body. Our products are made in America, and our prices are very competitive to other stores. Again, I'm Dr. Cedrick. I thank you for listening. I urge you to visit us online. Encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.